Hello everyone, my name is Art Russell. Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to read a passage from a book entitled Wisdom by Lester that I hope will inspire you and help you tap into your own inner greatness. The book was written by Lester Levenson, whose life story is really quite amazing. He was a physicist, successful entrepreneur, but he also had a lot of health problems. And it's reported that in 1952, when Lester was only 42, he had his second heart attack, and this one was a major one. Lester asked his doctor what could be done, and the doctor basically said, "There's nothing we can do for you." And when Lester asked how long he might have to live, the doctor said, "It's so challenging to know. It could be a couple of months or a couple of years." Now, as you can imagine, Lester was initially quite angry at this news, this diagnosis, and he went back to his New York penthouse, and for the next 3 days he basically laid in bed. But during that time, something began to awaken within him, a deeper knowing, and he wanted to know how had his life reached this point of despair with conditions being so low. And he came to a conclusion that love was the answer, that he needed to let go of his egoic identification and transcend all the negativity that had been part of his life. And as he began the process of doing this, he began to feel better and better. More energy returned, and he would go for long walks, sometimes in the middle of the night in New York City, to be away from the crowds. And whenever he felt a constriction of something, such as jealousy that he had been hanging on to, he knew that love was the answer, extending love to everyone and everything. Now, at the end of 3 months, Lester recovered his health totally, to the point, in fact, that his body-mind finally passed 42 years later in 1994. So let's get to the passage that I hope will help inspire you. This is about realization of our deeper nature, our true self, and that's what happened to Lester Levenson. Now, the person does not become awakened, but basically what happened is Lester Levenson was transcended by the true self. Now, this is under the heading of realization, realizing our true self. Our real nature, the infinite real self that we are, is simply us minus the mind. This is saying, as I say in my work too, we're not the thought of who we are. You don't need to have one thought to be that which you are. And on the next page, we get to a question here from someone who must have attended one of his seminars that he began producing at a later point. So this person had said, "You mean I am that?" Meaning the infinite being. Lester said, "Yes, definitely. It is I. It is the top state, I. That's all, not even am. So not even I am, just I. You don't have to think it. You don't have to say it. When we still our minds, we can realize something that is not a thing is aware. Being and knowing. Awareness." And the seeker said, "Or one with God?" Lester said, "Well, where is, quote, one with God? One with God is not a top state because it is in duality. If I am one with God, there is an I and there is a God. So that implies the two. That's the duality. In the ultimate state, we discover that I is God. There's only a singular oneness in the universe, and we must necessarily be that oneness. That's what we discover at the end of the line, or the beginning of the line, whichever way you look at it. We are unlimited beings covering over this limitlessness with concepts of limitation. The first of which is, I am an individual separate from the all. That's a very first and a very big error we make. I am separate. I am a personality. My name is Lester. I have a body. And I spiral right down. After we assume a mind and a body, then we assume all these troubles and problems, but they're nothing but assumptions. They're only a fiction which we see after we go within, quiet the mind, and discover all the truth right there. This whole world, as now seen, is nothing but a dream illusion that never was. The truth is just behind the outward world. So why make trouble? The growth is simply the elimination of all the concepts of limitation. That infinite, perfect being that we are must always be infinite and perfect, and therefore is perfect right now. That's one thing we can never change, our unlimited self. That is all the time. But I, the unlimited self, can assume that I am limited and that I have a mind. I have a body, I have problems. However, it is only an assumption. The questioner asks, what's the technique for cutting through all that? For getting right to the state where you have that total awareness? Lester replies, pose the question, who and what am I? And await the answer to present itself. The thinking mind can never give the answer, because all thought is of limitation. So in quietness and meditation, pose the questions, who am I? What am I? When other thoughts come up, strike them down. If you can't ask, to whom are these thoughts? Well, these thoughts are to me. Well, then who am I? And you're right back on the track of who am I? Continue this until you get the answer to the question, who and what am I, regardless of how long it takes. The answer is the unlimited self. And that's self in uppercase letters. You can find more free information through my articles at my blog at thinktwice.me, and also through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, which is available from Amazon. Bye for now. We'll talk again soon.